There's something about you, something that sets you apart from the rest. Maybe you've always felt it, but never quite understood it. You look at the world differently. You think differently. You feel like you don't fully belong. And sometimes it even feels like a curse, like you're out of sync with the people around you. But what if I told you that this very thing, this difference, is actually your greatest strength? That it's the reason why you see what others don't, why you question what others accept, why you refuse to fit into a mold that was never meant for you. Most people spend their entire lives trying to blend in. They follow the crowd. They do what's expected. They live the life that society has laid out for them. But not you. You've felt something deeper. Maybe you've noticed how others think you're too intense, too deep, too different. Maybe you've been told to just be normal. But here's the secret. The ones who change the world are never normal. History remembers the misfits, the rebels, the ones who didn't fit in, the ones who refused to accept things as they were, the ones who saw what others couldn't. And if you have these 7 powerful traits, you're not just different, you're destined for something bigger than the ordinary. But the question is, are you ready to embrace it? Because once you recognize these signs within yourself, there's no going back. 1. You think deeply about everything, even the things others ignore. Most people live on the surface. They accept what they're told, follow routines blindly, and never stop to question why things are the way they are. But you're different. Your mind is like a vast ocean, always diving deeper, always searching for meaning where others see none. When you walk into a room, you don't just see the people, you feel the energy. You notice the subtle changes in tone, the unspoken words, the tension behind a smile. You analyze everything, from the way someone phrases their words to the way their eyes shift when they lie. You see through people in a way that unsettles them because, deep down, they know they can't hide from you. But this isn't just about people. You question life itself. You don't just accept the rules. You wonder who made them, why they exist, and whether they even make sense. When society tells you to follow a path, you don't just walk it blindly. You ask, why this path? Who benefits from it? Is there a better way? And that alone sets you apart. Because most people never stop to ask these questions. This trait is both a gift and a burden. It makes you wise beyond your years, but it also isolates you. You might feel frustrated when others don't understand your perspective. You might feel exhausted from overthinking, from carrying the weight of seeing things so clearly while others remain blind. And at times, you might wish you could just turn it off, to stop analyzing, stop questioning, stop feeling everything so intensely. But here's the truth. Your depth is your greatest strength. The world needs minds like yours. Minds that don't just accept, but challenge. Minds that don't just observe, but understand. Because while most people are sleepwalking through life, you are fully awake. 2. You don't fit in, and you never really have. From a young age, you felt it. That quiet disconnect. That invisible barrier between you and the rest of the world. While others effortlessly blended into groups, followed trends, and seemed content with the way things were, you always felt different. It wasn't something you could put into words. It was just there, a constant feeling that you weren't quite like everyone else. You see, most people crave belonging. They adjust their personality to fit in, to be accepted, to avoid standing out. But you could never do that. Something inside you refused to conform. The way people mindlessly followed the crowd frustrated you. The way they accepted things at face value never questioning, never challenging, never thinking beyond the surface. It left you feeling like an outsider. Maybe you tried to fit in at some point. Maybe you forced yourself to laugh at jokes that weren't funny, to nod in agreement when you didn't, to dress or act a certain way just to avoid standing out. But it never lasted, did it? Because deep down, you knew it wasn't you. And here's the thing. Being different is not a flaw. It's a sign of strength. It means you aren't willing to shrink yourself just to make others comfortable. It means you value authenticity over approval, truth over acceptance. And while that road can feel lonely at times, it also means that when you do find your people, the rare ones who truly understand you, it will be real. No masks, no pretending, just raw, unfiltered connection. So, if you've always felt like you don't belong, remember this. You weren't meant to. You weren't made for the ordinary. You weren't meant to just blend in. You were meant to stand out, to challenge, to create, to lead. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs originals. And that's exactly what you are. 3. You think too deeply about everything. While most people are content with the surface level of life, you can't help but dig deeper. A simple conversation? You analyze the words, the tone, the hidden meaning behind what was said. A fleeting moment? You reflect on it for days, wondering what it truly meant. The world, the universe, human nature, your mind is constantly searching, questioning, and dissecting everything around you. This isn't something you can turn off. Your brain is wired differently. You don't just accept things as they are. You want to know why. Why people act the way they do. Why society follows certain rules. Why some succeed while others fail. You don't just see events. You see patterns, connections, hidden truths that others overlook. But here's the downside. Thinking deeply can be exhausting. You replay conversations in your head, overanalyze situations, and sometimes get lost in your own thoughts for hours. You may even feel disconnected from others because they just don't think like you do. While they move on without a second thought, you're still stuck on that one detail, that one moment, trying to understand it fully. Yet, this trait is also one of your greatest strengths. Deep thinkers are the ones who change the world. They're the philosophers, the visionaries, the creators, the revolutionaries, the ones who refuse to accept things at face value and instead push humanity forward by questioning, learning, and seeing what others cannot. So yes, your mind may feel like a never-ending maze, constantly turning, constantly seeking. But in a world where most people live on autopilot, your depth is a gift. It means you are awake, aware, and capable of seeing what others miss. And that, in itself, makes you different from the rest. 4. You feel like you don't belong anywhere. No matter where you go or who you're with, there's always this strange, lingering feeling inside you, like you're an outsider looking in. You could be in a room full of people, laughing, talking, blending in perfectly. But deep down, you know, you don't belong here. It's not that you don't try. You've spent years attempting to fit in, to be like everyone else. You've copied their habits, their interests, their way of speaking. But no matter how much you try, something always feels off. Like you're pretending. Like you're forcing yourself to be someone you're not. And eventually, you realize you were never meant to fit in. You see, most people live by an invisible script. They follow the same paths, chase the same dreams, believe the same things. But you question everything. You see life differently. While they accept the world as it is, you wonder how it could be better. While they find comfort in routine, you crave the unknown. While they surround themselves with noise, you seek the quiet, the meaning behind it all. And that makes you different. Not better, not worse, just different. But here's the hard part. Being different can be lonely. You've probably spent years feeling misunderstood, like no one truly gets you. Like your thoughts, your ideas, your very existence is somehow out of sync with the world around you. Maybe you've even questioned if something is wrong with you. Why can't I just be like everyone else? Why do I always feel like an outsider? But let me tell you something. The greatest minds in history felt the same way. The inventors, the philosophers, the artists, the revolutionaries, they all walked a lonely road. They all questioned, doubted, struggled. And yet, because they refused to conform, they changed the world. So if you feel like you don't belong, don't see it as a curse. See it as proof that you were meant for something greater. The world wasn't built for people like you. It was built by them. And one day, you'll find your place. Not by fitting in, but by creating a space where you finally belong. 5. You have an unshakable desire for more. Most people go through life settling for good enough. A stable job, a predictable routine, a safe existence. They don't question the system. They don't challenge their limits. They don't dream beyond what's handed to them. They wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, sleep, repeat. And they're fine with that. They've accepted that this is life, that this is all there is. But you're different. There's something inside you, something restless, something hungry. It whispers to you in the quiet moments, in the stillness of the night, in the spaces between conversations. It tells you that this isn't it, that there's more out there, that you were meant for more, that life isn't just about existing, it's about becoming. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, you can't. You can't sit still. You can't accept mediocrity. You can't pretend that you're satisfied when every fiber of your being is screaming for more. Not more money, not more material things, not more meaningless distractions, more growth, more purpose, more meaning. You want to push boundaries, to explore the unknown, to create something extraordinary. You crave the kind of success that isn't just measured in numbers, but in impact. You want to wake up every morning with fire in your soul, knowing that what you're doing matters. And that makes you different. Because this world is designed to keep people comfortable, it rewards obedience, not ambition. It encourages conformity, not individuality. It tells you to stay in your lane, to not rock the boat, to be grateful for what you have, even if what you have is far less than what you're capable of achieving. And that's why so many people will never understand you. They'll call you too ambitious, too restless, too obsessed. They'll tell you to slow down, to enjoy life, to stop chasing something that doesn't exist. But they don't realize it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. The moment you stop growing, the moment you stop pushing, the moment you stop wanting more, that's the moment you start dying inside. Because people like you weren't born to settle. You were born to rise. So don't suppress that hunger. Don't dim your fire just to make others comfortable. Let them live their ordinary lives while you build an extraordinary one. Because the ones who change the world, the ones who truly make a difference, are the ones who never stop reaching for more. 6. You see the world differently, and that makes you dangerous. Most people don't really see the world. They exist in it, sure. They wake up, go through their routines, follow the script they've been handed since childhood. But they don't question it. They don't analyze it. They don't step back and ask, why is everything the way it is? But you You're different. You don't just exist in this world. You observe it. You analyze it. You see patterns others miss. You notice details that escape the average person. You recognize how people think, how systems are built, how power operates. You don't just accept things at face value. You look beneath the surface, and that makes you a threat. Because society thrives on predictability, on people following the rules, obeying the system, believing what they're told without question. The moment you step outside that framework, the moment you start thinking for yourself, the moment you see what's really going on, you become uncontrollable. And that's exactly why people will try to bring you down. They'll call you cynical. They'll say you overthink things. They'll accuse you of being too skeptical, too rebellious, too different. But deep down, they know the truth. They know you see through the illusion. While they blindly follow trends, you question who created them. While they consume media, you analyze who benefits from it. While they play by the rules, you ask who wrote them in the first place. And that makes people uncomfortable. Because most people don't want to think. They don't want to accept that the world isn't fair, that the game is rigged, that what they've been taught might be a lie. It's easier for them to stay in their comfortable little bubble than to face the raw, uncomfortable truth that you see so clearly. And that's where your power lies. Because once you learn to use this awareness, once you stop trying to fit into a world you no longer believe in, you become unstoppable. You see, the ones who change the world aren't the ones who blindly follow the rules. They're the ones who break them, the ones who rewrite them, the ones who see the world not as it is, but as it could be. You are one of those people. So don't dull your mind just to fit in. Don't ignore the things you see just because others refuse to look. Embrace your ability to see beyond the surface. Because while most people live in a reality that was designed for them, you have the rare, dangerous power to create your own. 7. You feel like you don't belong because you're meant for more. Have you ever walked into a room full of people and felt like you were on a completely different frequency? Like everyone around you was speaking a language you barely understood, obsessed with things that seemed completely meaningless to you. Like you were there, but not really there, because your mind was always somewhere else? That's not an accident. That's not a flaw. That's not something you need to fix. That's proof that you're different. Most people are perfectly content with the ordinary. They thrive in mediocrity. They find comfort in sameness, in routines, in shallow conversations, in a life that's predictable and safe. They don't need anything more because they don't want anything more. But you've always wanted more. More meaning, more depth, more purpose. More than just surviving day to day in a life that feels like it was chosen for you instead of by you. And that's exactly why you feel like you don't belong. Because you don't. Not in a world where people settle for average. Not in a society that rewards obedience over originality. Not in a system that conditions people to be comfortable rather than great. And that's where most people give up. They start believing something is wrong with them. They suppress their instincts. They force themselves to fit in. They pretend to care about things they don't, just so they won't feel like an outsider. They shrink themselves down so they can fit inside the box the world built for them. But you know what happens when you do that? You kill the very thing that makes you extraordinary. Feeling like you don't belong isn't a curse. It's a sign that you were never meant to live a common,